welcome back to another video. Today I am collaborating with a very special person. You all should know her as Bob Berry, or who is sometimes referred to as LC Draws, LC, Liliana. Either way, she's been on my channel for a long time. We've been friends since like a year before I even started my channel, so we met while I was in 6th grade, going into 8th for those of you who aren't aware. But yeah. After 2 years, we're finally collaborating on a video, and as you can see in the title, we'll be talking about things that beginner artists struggle with. Before I get into today's video, I just want to thank my patron Claudia Evans. Becoming a patron allows you to get exclusive access for very low prices than what other people would charge. It also helps my art journey and allows me to save up for things to make better content for you guys. So if you could go into the second link in the description and pledge today, it'd mean the world to me. Again, thank you to Claudia and all of the video. So to start, I get how exciting it can be drawing for your first couple of years. It's extremely experimental, but you'll also make a lot of mistakes with the wrong guidance. You will also leap into things you aren't ready for, and it can just ruin the cycle of going from beginner to intermediate fast. You may think, well, Neko, there isn't a wrong or right way to do art, and you're supposed to go at your own pace, right? If so, what's your point in saying all of this? You're right. Art is a form of creative expression, and you should go at your own pace. If you level up fast, great. If it takes a while, also great. Everyone goes at their own pace, and it's strongly recommended not to rush yourself or try to improve faster than your capabilities will allow you to. In rushing, you're taking the joy out of art no matter what kind of art you're doing. You won't allow yourself to improve at a steady pace, and you'll be loaded with commissions. If lucky, we'll get into this more in just a bit. You'll be stressed, and you may also be broke from all the supplies you've been buying. Commissions are only something I've just started to do, and it's been 6 years. 6 years of art, and I've just been successful with commissions. Even now, I still seek improvement, and I'm not 100% successful, not by a long shot. As an artist, it's natural to want fast improvement, and I get that. Every single day of my art life, actually. But it becomes an obsession when you're spending thousands on supplies that you shouldn't need until you're in a more advanced area. Digital art and traditional art alike, you still need to go at your own pace. Limiting yourself is a huge part of being a beginner artist, especially if you have a bias towards a specific style. For me, it was cartoons and anime. You will always have that bias, let's admit it. You could argue with someone who does realism or a Western style all day about why your art style is better than anything else out there. But in reality, your style is just a bunch of combinations of styles you see on the internet. Let's say you watched Dora and really like that style for some reason. So you add some of those simplistic elements into your own art and try to make it your style. That's totally fine, and it's part of an artist's journey, so that isn't an issue at all. But it's when you start limiting yourself to that one style and you don't try to try new things, or you get upset when someone says you should branch out. Trust me, I was in that phase recently. I'm actually trying realism and a lot of stylistic choices to try and make my style even better than what it is now. Usually the reason for this is that you think that you worked so hard only for people to tell you that what you're doing is wrong. In reality, people just want to see you grow. They aren't intentionally trying to hurt your feelings or get into your personal art business. Of course, unless they're just being a jerk, that's another thing. But they want to see you try lots of new things that may not be in your capabilities yet, and that's okay. When the time comes, you'll start to see your style become even more stylized. Artists like Unicake, a friend of mine actually, Applemint, Nekarina, specifically her glossy cheeks, Hana Natsu, specifically the hair, Asbel, Rinihime, and others have easily recognizable styles, which is why most of the time they don't even have to put watermarks on their art in order for people to recognize their styles, which is amazing. But it will take years for a beginner artist to get to that point. Also, did you notice how I pointed out specific things about certain artists' art? That's what you want your audience to see, no matter how big or small. There should always be a focus in every art piece you do, and if you get to a point where people recognize you for a specific thing about your art, then congrats, you're doing well. Not saying your art has to be heavily stylized, but I would suggest getting to a point where people can recognize your art, especially if someone were to try and steal your art. Bad advice. The thing that will make you degrade yourself, and the things art teachers love to tell their students because they think it's good advice. P.S. It's not. Let's start with my least favorite, practice every day. You know, as I'm typing out this script, I took a break from drawing for 5 days. I came back, believe better than before, and my motivation went up. So drawing every day can be really harmful not only to your motivation but to your body as well. Trust me, I've had days where my back and wrists were hurting because I drew for too long. Now, this next one is one I hate. It's learn the rules before you break them. What rules? Isn't art about creative freedom? While I do agree there are rules to certain things like anatomy, there's always ways to bend them and where it still makes sense, but it's not realistic art or anything. Draw what you want to draw, especially if you're a beginner, because you won't enjoy illustration much if you have these random people telling you what you can and can't draw and how you can and can't draw things. If you're in art school, listen to your teachers, but still work on things you want to work on. Now, this next piece of advice is seriously something I got told myself at school. I can rant all day about why school in general is a complete waste of your time, but that's not why we're here today. Here it is. Just keep going to school in case it doesn't work out. Excuse me? Like really, you're gonna tell an aspiring artist that their dreams won't work out? Of course, a teacher's job is to encourage students to like school and find fun ways to make it interesting. I get it. But when you have a student with an idea on how they want to live for the rest of their life, you don't tell them to do the complete opposite. You should encourage them to keep going with their dreams and tell them if what they want to do specifically doesn't work out, try to help them find things they're interested in doing and encourage them to pursue that if they lose interest in the art field they're interested in. Or if something happens to where they can't pursue that anymore. Don't just tell them to give up. It's horrible advice. Anyways, thank you for watching my portion of the collaboration. It's now time for Liliana's part, so I hope you guys enjoy her part, and thank you for watching my portion, and please stay to the end for further announcements.
Hello Internet, it's me. I wouldn't really want to make my intro too long, but yeah, I'm Bob Berry, aka Elsie Draws, or Liliana. I'm really happy to be doing this collab with Neko, so let's get started. The first thing I'd like to discuss is common anatomy mistakes, hair included. I'm going to be discussing things that I've seen a lot of artists mess up on and how to fix those mistakes. The first anatomy mistake I see a lot of artists struggle with, including myself, is hands. If you can draw these correctly easily, then I really admire you, and I'm sure a lot of other artists do as well. If you mess up one part slightly, you mess up the whole hand. It's pretty frustrating. So, first of all, learning to draw realistically is a strong suggestion I have if you want to do art in the long run, but if you're just a hobbyist or a beginner with anatomy, I have some tips. And just a disclaimer, I'm not saying you have to draw in a realistic style if you're doing art in the long run. All I'm saying is that it's strongly suggested to practice it regularly. Once again, this isn't needed. It could possibly put your creativity to a halt, as Neko suggested while we were writing the script. If you can break down anatomy into simple 3D shapes rather than focusing on the outline of an object itself, things will become much easier. If you try to draw something without focusing on what it's actually made up of, believe it or not, it becomes much harder. Once you have an understanding of 3D shapes and how they work, you will see improvement. This applies for anatomy as well as hands too. And as I said, I wanted to talk about drawing hair as well. Hair is a very expressive part of art, especially when it's given more detail, such as in anime styles, which I'm sure you all are familiar with. Different hairstyles will give off different vibes. Make sure to make one that fits your character well. For example, long, straight hair usually gives off a serious vibe, while puffy or wavy hair gives off a more friendly vibe. Shorter hairstyles give off happy or energetic vibes. Hair is one of the most important and expressive parts of a character, so giving it detail and background is important. Something I noticed with beginner artists is that they'll usually shift the facial features just so they aren't covered by hair at all. It's okay if the hair touches the eyes a bit, which leads into the next topic about hair. The hair being transparent to the point that you can see the eye through it. Now, let me explain. Eyes can show over hair for many reasons in drawings. What I'm talking about is when the eye is almost, if not completely covered by hair, and it's still showing through. Now, this isn't a serious problem, just something I find a bit strange. Next up, bad advice. These are just a few tips that people might give you that aren't very helpful. The first tip people tell us to stop drawing this or that. Stuff like stop drawing cartoons, stop drawing anime, etc. Pretty much the whole point of art is creative freedom. You can draw almost whatever you want without anyone having to stop you. If someone tells you to stop drawing something, please don't take it personally. You can draw cartoony stuff, you can draw anime stylized stuff, you can draw almost anything you want. The second and last bad piece of advice, or in this case, motivation, I want to talk about is saying you're in this grade, you can do better. People say this to motivate others, but really it just makes them feel like they're not good enough. People start at different points and learn at different paces. If someone says this to you, they're really not right at all. It's okay if you're not where you want to be, or not where someone expects you to be. You can and will get there, no pressure. Now, I'd like to talk about trying to imitate other creators or artists. This is a big problem. It's completely fine to take inspiration from other artists and practice features of their art that you like, but this could easily become imitation if you take too many features from them. All artists have their big inspirations that they really love, but it's important to pay attention to what you're trying to inherit from them. If you're using some pieces as inspiration for something you're creating, look at it and ask yourself, am I imitating or almost imitating them? If so, what should I remove? It's okay to take away some features if you think you might have taken too many. Try combining artist styles together rather than imitating one. Lastly, I want to discuss being a perfectionist. This is something a lot of artists struggle with, including me. It is a big problem because it can really affect you in the long run, and it can affect your mentality too. Try to set realistic goals for yourself rather than just trying to be perfect. Art isn't easy, it takes time to master. If you try to be perfect too soon, your confidence in your art would decline badly. It's okay if you're not happy with what you have at the moment. If you look at art from your inspirations, odds are that they went through a similar phase as well. There's always light at the end of the tunnel, so hang in there. I've seen art from a lot of you guys, and let me say, it really is awesome. You guys will really come far, I can tell. If you ever think about giving up, it's really not worth it. Art isn't always the fun activity people see it as, and that's okay. It's always possible to get where you want to be if you try. Don't give up, guys. And that's it for my part. I really enjoyed working on this, so thank you, Neko, for letting me help out. Hopefully I can do this again sometime. It was a lot of fun.